try. Raz. Yeah, we can start. Okay, good afternoon, everyone, ladies and gentlemen. We invited you for our short presentation about the Three Seas region and business and investment opportunity. And we split this presentation for three parts. Firstly, we will talk about who we are and what we are doing with the Three Seas. Then will be some data about the Three Seas region and why it is important to interested in this region, and then what is the future and what is the possibility to invest.
Again, good afternoon. My name is Paweł Nierada and Ms. Beata Daszyńska. We actually came from the banking. We have been working in the banking industry from the 90s, about in the mid-90s. Ms. Beata, she started with Santander, with the Polish unit, Polish part of the Santander, which became one of the biggest commercial banks in Poland, have totaling 12,000 employees, and Beata was a member of the executive board of Santander. I started with the investment banking with the Credit Suisse, first Boston, but back in the 90s, then with Rothschilds, and then eventually we met within the Polish development banks. The Polish Development Bank, which is the Polish equivalent of the Germany's KfW, for some of you it may be familiar, is actually the fourth largest development bank in Europe. And this is how we came in contact with what is called the Three Seas region, which is basically the entire eastern flank of the European Union. It actually embraces countries ranging from the. We can actually.
Based on our experience and how we touched the Three Seas initiative, we decided to continue our cooperation and develop the business and investment hub, and this is exactly what we represent as a Three Seas Business Council, and we represent today this organization who are developing the cooperation between the companies and investors to bring closer the number of companies, not only from the region but also from entire strategic partners that we will elaborate a little bit more. But firstly, let's start to talk about the figures. What is exactly the Three Seas region? As you see on this map, it is 13 countries from Estonia up to Greece. It is 13 countries, but it is very important. It is 120 million population. It is 1/3 of the entire population of the European Union. It is very important. We don't have these figures on the slide, but when you calculate the total GDP of all these countries, we are on the 7th position in the G20. So it shows that it is huge potential. From the other hand, we are on the land, which is 1/3 of the entire territory of the European Union. It shows population, the fastest growing economy in the European Union, and not only, it is even compared that we are the fastest growing region in the world, and the territory, and we are on the crossing and east-west and north-south. So it is very important how we want to develop the infrastructure in our region, because we have very well developed the infrastructure and east-west, but we don't have enough infrastructure on the north-south. It is exactly the investment gaps that was calculated, and the number of investment that we have to invest up to 2030, over 650 billion euro. So from the one hand, it is huge challenge. From the other hand, it is huge opportunity for the number of investors.
and it actually shows we have a lot of exchange with the companies and investors from Asia, both Central Asia and Far East, the three seas countries, the three seas region actually ties in very nicely with the new logistic routes coming from Asia. Well, first with the middle corridor, and then more recently with this new, I'm pretty sure you are aware of that, the new concept of IMEC, which is the India, Middle East, Europe corridor, which actually goes, as the name would suggest, starts from India and connects it through countries like Israel, for that matter, then actually tying up nicely with the Greece and Bulgaria. And anyone sort of dealing within the logistics realize that saving another 2 or 5 days of ships not having to sail all the way to Hamburg, for that matter, it gives you a clear and instant benefit. Also, when we were actually talking to our Japanese friends, we realized the three Seas initiative countries actually are very similar to Japan, with very close, with population of 121 million vis-a-vis 127 of Japan, and actually also stretching from up north down to the south of Mediterranean.
And we also the eastern flank of NATO and the security and the investment in security, not the security as a military equipment, but rather how we think about the infrastructure, energy, digital, and the logistic and transportation infrastructure. The Via Carpathia, which is the very important road from Lithuania up to Greece, it is part of this security, logistic security, because this road can be used by how to deliver the equipment for the eastern flank of NATO. And maybe the one example, I like this example, sorry for my voice, but I do my best to survive. I mentioned about the infrastructure. When we see the huge figures of, 650 billion euro that we have to spend for the infrastructure, energy, logistic, digitalization, and so on. And comparing to the infrastructure that we have on the east-west. Between Romania and Bulgaria, there is a natural border on the Danube River. It is 458 kilometers. How many bridges are there? Can you guess? 2. 2 bridges. Only 2 bridges on this huge border between Romania and Bulgaria. Between Poland and Germany, we have also natural border on the Oder River. It is 187 kilometers. How many bridges we have there? 29. So you can compare how lack of infrastructure we have in this region, especially on the north-south axis. These 2 bridges, it is definitely a good example how we have to heavily invest. And if we are thinking about the eastern flank of NATO, how big threat is only 2 bridges on the Danube River. So yes, we have to invest heavily in this region. And maybe a few words on the initiative level. The government decided to have a list of strategic projects. And this list of strategic projects, it is 134 projects. 30 projects is already delivered. Everything is on the official TRISIS initiative pages. And accumulated number of public money and EU funds, which was spent to improve the infrastructure in our region, it exceeds 100 billion euro. So it means our governments, because the heavy industry it is mainly domain of our governments. So only in the good coordination with the full awareness what it means, this infrastructure for our region, we will be able to build not only the fantastic way to holiday for Salonik or some other islands in Greece, but how to build the security in the broader perspective.
Also, what we have here is the added benefit that basically all of these countries are, not basically, all of these countries are members of the European Union and the members of the Schengen area. So you have basically no borders, in particular, no tariffs, no anything in trading between all these countries inside. And the last year, the 2024 total trade turnover within the region was almost 360 billion euro, and what actually is important that 5 years ago this was down to 270 billion euro. So over 5 years it almost increased by 50%, just the business exchange between this region. And when you add to this the potential of the foreign trade, foreign relations with the investment needs within the region, that actually demonstrates the huge potential of making a good business by looking to the region and investing into the region. And that's what we actually did.
Maybe only the last word, and we will go into the future. Because the initiative is developing very fast. As we mentioned, we have 13 countries, but I would like to also mention about the associated participating states. It is Ukraine, Moldova, Albania, and Montenegro since this year. And also the strategic partners. We have the 6 strategic partners. It is US, Germany, Japan, EU Commission, Turkey, and Spain. So all in all, it is 22 countries and the one organization as a EU Commission. So it looks that the another countries are really looking forward how to work with this initiative. So it looks that this initiative is very attractive, especially from the business perspective and the investment opportunities. And this is exactly what we are trying to encourage.
What we actually did within our previous assignment, if you like. In 2019, we decided we want to, because we have been also acting as investors, a number of funds investing in infrastructure ventures around the European Union. And we came to that conclusion that it's actually the potential of the region of the three seas region is so big that we really want to sort of do the same, but tailored for this part of the world. And we did. In 2019, the fund was set up in Luxembourg. We eventually it was about 1.3 billion US dollars committed capital to fund to invest into the infrastructure related projects across the region. Now, one important assumption was also that the fund would invest only if the project would actually make an impact on at least two countries. Yeah, it doesn't have to be in 2 countries, but it has to make an impact and develop these countries. And well, by now the fund is well. That's actually funny because the fund was established in 2019 in Luxembourg, and it became effectively operational on the 26th of February 2020, which was actually just 2 weeks before the complete European lockdown of COVID-19. So less than perfect timing, I would say. But then again, only by the end of 2020, we have had 1 investment done and 2 others underway. And during the investment period, which actually ended, the investment team has reviewed over 300 projects across the region. Eventually, the fund invested in 6 projects. All the capital is either invested or committed to these. 2 of them are from the renewables. 2 of them. One is the logistic, which is the commercial port on the Black Sea, and and one locomotive leasing and operating company, which is actually very interesting business on its own, and one data center. So it's a good combination of digital, renewables, and logistics that are actually developing throughout the business. And I have to say that at least a year ago, when I was looking sort of last, the fund was indeed delivering the mid-teens returns on its investment, which is, I dare to say, pretty good for the infrastructure-related longer-term investment fund. And what about the future? I think we believe that we all know and understand that we actually live in a much more sort of volatile world than it used to be before COVID. But I dare to say that the potential of the region is not getting any slower, but is actually increasing. And we are thinking that's not an offer. That's not an investment offer by any of these things. But I would say if it could be tempting to sort of to think about creating a follow-up fund, if you like, maybe a tad smaller, because what we see particularly interesting in the region are all these digital and AI infrastructure related investments, the space. You probably have came across a number of panels here in Davos which were related to development of space business, space as a business. Only yesterday we have been attending one panel with Mr. Ashbacher from ESA and representatives of a couple of US companies. That these companies are actually staging their IPOs on the New York Stock Exchange, other stock exchanges, and they are receiving billion-plus market capitalizations on this one. So I think the space sector is really growing, and in particular in the region, in Poland, in Bulgaria, and other cases, we have a lot of specialized, focused know-how related to the space. Yeah? Because space, it's not only what we see with the Elon Musk and NASA spaceship and stuff, not necessarily all big rocket engines stuff. There is a lot of other stuff which is equally, dare I say, sexy from the investment point of view, but requiring far, far less capital.
We also organized the one panel about the space industry in the Trisis region in the different place. So it is worth also to mention that we are deeply believe in this sector and the opportunities that create in our countries in the Trisis region.
So we clearly see a very tempting potential for a smaller fund, which would be anything between 300 500 million euro perhaps, with the 10-year duration, with the classic 5 years investment period, focusing on the region, leveraging its possibilities in the energy, digital, AI space. I mentioned transport and logistics still, and last but not least, food processing in a very broadly defined way.
And this is the reason that we created the Trisis Business Council. As you can see under this 5 wheels, it is we are in the center. We want to build the business community, cooperate with the investors, looking and single out the good projects, which will be very interesting for the investors. But we have very regular cooperation also with presidents' offices in this region, with the embassies in the entire region. And we also want to create the collaboration between the think tanks in this region to build more awareness why this region is so important, what is exactly the opportunities, and how to break the very difficult story for our region, because most of this country are these post-communist countries. And when we try to convince many investors 5-7 years ago, the thinking about the investments was cut on the other river. If we want to encourage anybody to invest in our region, how many incentive I can get from your government? how you can encourage us to invest in this region. No, through this fund, which was presented by Paweł, we break this ice. This is exactly the region that prove we are very talented population, very well educated. We know how to develop our economy. We know how to deliver very good projects and how to achieve the rate of return even higher than the 14%. So this is the huge encouragement for the number of investors and the companies. Don't be afraid to be more bold in presenting our possibility and our countries.
Yeah, there is a huge potential, and we have the ambition of being the first ones to actually bring these things together and offer to the market as a combination package, because I think it's super sexy and from the investment perspective, and actually in a relatively stable and safe environment, both legally and well, benefiting from all the backbone of the European Union across the world.
And this year will be another summit and the business forum, which will take place in Dubrovnik in 28-29 of April. So we strongly recommend to join to this event. During this summit, because summit it is on the highest level, the presidential level, and we strongly believe it will be an additional declaration from the president's side, but from the business perspective, because from our side as a we represent the business and the financial institutions. So we strongly believe if the business will be working together, the politicians will follow. And this is exactly what we try to create and encourage the business to be more involved in this region and to look in the opportunities in entire Three Seas region. So from our side, it is.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
If you have any questions, please go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.